You are watching Nimasa This Week, the authorized voice for the Nigerian maritime sector. My name is Iretiola Doyle, and you are welcome. That Nimasa is 100% committed to ensuring safety on Nigerian territorial waterways is not in doubt. An attestation of this fact is the zest and zeal that the DG of the agency, Mr. Zakede Patrick Abubulakemi, brings to the job. Nimasa This Week recently caught up with him for what can be described as an exclusive chat on security issues. Now, this forms the core subject of our first report on this week's edition of the show.
Recently, the Task Force on Oil Theft and Piracy has been scoring numerous successes in fighting the twin scourges that the crimes represent. These successes are as a result of concerted efforts on the part of the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency and security agencies, particularly the Nigerian Navy and the Nigerian Air Force. The Maritime Guard Command that is stationed at the agency's Kirikiri Resource Center, which is made up of virtually all the arms of the Nigerian Armed Forces, can be said to be largely responsible for the current atmosphere of relative security in our maritime domain. The many arrests and interdictions are as a result of improved platforms made available to the task force. The agency has in recent times deployed modern fast interdiction vessels as well as larger vessels that can be deployed further offshore to thwart the best efforts of the pirates and oil thieves. Last week, we caught up with the Director General, Mr. Zakede Patrick Akpobulokemi, and he threw some light on the issue of the preparedness of the federal government to cooperate fully with the agency in the fight against the twin economic crimes by deploying more security personnel into the battle.
You know, when the government gave us additional military personnel to assist us in pursuing pirates, sea robbers, and oil thieves, sometime last year, because of the seriousness of the job, the growing intolerance of government with respect to oil theft and other organized crimes in our maritime domain. And we are consolidating on the gains that have been achieved so far. More patrol boats are coming. Of course, we're expecting other vessels that can be stationed in any part of our offshore. As we speak, some of the vessels, mother vessels, are on transit. They've left Europe, coming to Nigeria. In some few weeks' time, you will see more sophisticated boats coming.
In spite of the improved security situation in our territorial waters, there appears to be a clique that is benefiting from promoting a negative perception of the security situation in Nigeria's territorial waters. The DG was quick to debunk the naysayers and gave a proper perspective of the situation.
I've said repeatedly in different fora that there's a calculated international conspiracy against Nigeria because many of the alerts about piracy are untrue. We've responded to various alerts that are true. We've arrested pirates. We've intercepted boats. Some of the pirates we've handed to other law enforcement agencies. Some of the boats are in our custody. We have proofs to give to whoever that wants that we are alive to our responsibility. That's not to tell anybody or a group of persons that we are 100% where we ought to be. But progress is being made. Progress is going to be consolidated. The desire is that, the ideal is that there should be zero piracy occurrence, zero oil theft occurrence. The reality today is that a good job is done. We're making so much progress, but we've not completed the task because it's a process.
One sure way of staving off the activities of these criminals within the Nigerian territorial waters has been through regional cooperation with neighboring countries. Only recently, the government of Benin Republic attributed the tranquility of their territorial waters to the efforts of the task force, which extended to their territorial waters. Captain Waridi Enuswo, who was privy to that arrangement at its inception, had this to say.
When we came up with the model in the beginning, it was a very, very challenging model. First, we're going out to a foreign country and a neighboring country and a sister nation, a friendly one as well, to work. So we will give them a lot of the credit. The reason I say we'll give them a lot of the credit is because they cooperated with us seriously. So their cooperation is part of the reason for the success. And if you look at the map of the Gulf of Guinea, you will discover most of the shipping activities flow from that particular area towards us. And because of that traffic flow, due also to the fact that we've been able to curb most of the menace around Lagos waters, the attack now shifted to their area. And we had no choice than to go in there and decide to deal with this particular problem. And by dealing with their problem there, has reduced the influx of such activities in our own waters. So it's literally a win-win situation.
The task force relies on a variety of sources for intelligence to deal with the oil thieves and pirates. However, much has to be said about the intelligence gathered from the captured errant vessels where the paraphernalia of the criminals are displayed. There are indeed other means by which the criminals are checkmated, and the DG gave us a guarded insight into the advantages the task force has over the criminals.
We are always at least one step ahead of them. That is why we are succeeding. You can see quite a number of vessels that we have arrested. Some of them that were, the one in particular that was used offshore Abidjan, that is under our custody. The crew, we've taken custody of them. The vessel is in our possession. How did we get that? And they are giving us useful confessions that can enable us to secure conviction. The height of their wisdom is the beginning of our wisdom. Where they think they've gone so far, where they are operating, is where we start from. So that is why we are making gains. That is why even before they start, sometimes we get them arrested. Before they go out, we get them arrested. If piracy occurred a few weeks ago, a month ago, or 2 months ago, or whatever, we'll be able to still trace and get them down. This example I'm giving you right now, it occurred, they've been engaged in this activity in the past. And they were, of course, planning another attack, hijack, etc. But we have a system that we are working with, too superb. But for security reasons, we cannot say these things outside. You must be selling your winning formula to your opponent. You won't do that. But before they think of coming up with something next, we'll get something ahead of them. So it's very difficult for them to outmaneuver us.
As a bonus question, we asked the DG about an issue that has been on the lips of many stakeholders in the maritime sector. In his usual obliging manner, he gave us the good news about the Cabotage Vessel Financing Fund.
Disbursement by the grace of God is going to happen this month. This is April. That is what we are working, that is what we want to achieve. is April 2013. Some Nigerian companies should be able to benefit from the CVFF. And we are going to achieve that.
One other area in which Nimasa has placed an uncompromising premium is the area of marine environment management, which involves a lot of interaction with its various stakeholders. As a duty, Nimasa is expected to carry out sensitization programs for littoral communities as well as Niger Delta communities. One such program recently held in Warri. Up next is that report.
In keeping with her mandate of protecting Nigerian waters from pollution of all forms, especially oil pollution, Nimasa on Tuesday, the 9th of April, organized a sensitization workshop for oil-bearing communities in the Niger Delta. The workshop, titled Anti-Marine Pollution Practices for Niger Delta Communities, was put together by the Marine Environment Management Department of Nimasa and held at the Cyprian Hotel, Warri in Delta State. In a welcome address at the workshop, the Executive Director, Maritime Safety and Shipping Development, Captain Ezekiel Bala Agaba, underscored the importance of improving the awareness of communities in the Niger Delta to issues of oil pollution.
Hereby I assure you that all this program would afford everyone here present the opportunity of getting well acquainted with the processes of effective prevention and control of marine pollution, as well as learn the various laws governing this in Nigeria. As you stay here and listen to them, we hope that what you learn from here will go a long way in improving environmental situation in our region. Thank you very much and God bless you.
The first paper for the day was presented by Dr. Austin Akankali of the University of Port Harcourt, and he dealt with the issues of sources and effects of marine pollution on our coastal resources.
You know, I talked about external sources of pollution. You mentioned brake fluid, engine oil, this and that. The truth is, that's where we come in as individuals. When you drink oil from your generator, how do you discard it? Do you just fling it and say it's just one cup, it doesn't matter? Because 1 million persons in Nigeria will be doing that on a daily basis. And what does that happen? What does that do to us? It flushes back into the marine environment. So, as far as there are structural ways to control the mega sources of these effluents, the attitude we have also matters.
Mrs. Juliana Gunwa, the director of the Marine Environment Management Department at Nimasa, presented the next paper on marine oil pollution management, the roles and responsibilities of the 3 tiers of government, federal, state, and local governments.
Like I told you earlier, we have regulation in place. So when we have non-compliance by the oil companies or any other body that has violated any of these requirements, we have the right to prosecute and to investigate what has happened, and if there's need, ensure that we prosecute the polluters. And of course, like we all know, it will not even just stop there. The polluters, for instance, there's under the OPRC, CMC, there's what is called the polluter must pay principle. So for instance, anybody who pollutes the water, once you are caught, because Nimasa is there to catch you, whoever pollutes, you will be expected to do the cleanup. And it's not just doing the cleanup and say, okay, I have done the cleanup, I'm free. You will not only do the cleanup, you did the cleanup, you pay fines for introducing hazardous products into our waters, and more importantly, we ensure you equally compensate the communities that must have been affected.
The Deputy Director in the Marine Environment Management Department at Nimasa, Mrs. Susan Asagwara, delivered the third and last paper of the day, titled Marine Oil Pollution Management, the Role of the Public and the Potential Polluter.
It's mandatory for the ship owner to clean up. If it's above the level, because after having developed the document for cleanup, it must have some equipment for cleanup. So he should start using his own. If it's a major spill, the report he gives will show us the magnitude of the incident, and then the federal government will now mobilize to assist. But everything that the federal government has to do will be at the cost borne by the shipowner. He, being the polluter, is the person that should pay for the cleanup.
At the end of the workshop, we asked Captain Ezekiel Agaba how many other communities will benefit from workshops such as this.
The last you have Mayesa, you have Nimasa. We are intended to extend this sensitization program to all the states. Because go down to Calabar, Eket, Kwaibo, Bonga, go to Mayesa, Escravos, anywhere they produce oil, and the issue of pollution.
Mrs. Juliana Gunwa had a word of advice for the communities and warned against acts of vandalism.
It is good for us to keep our waters clean, and deliberate vandalization, deliberate polluting of our waters is not good enough, because it equally affects the people in the community. So we should all put our hands together to ensure that where it's avoidable, we ensure there is no pollution. Though I equally stated that pollution does not warn, especially from tankers and from vessels. They don't warn us, they come, but of course when they come, we must be in a state of preparedness for us to respond. And after responding, we must be able to put together all that is required to assess our conversation.
The next report which you're about to see is one that I particularly identify with, and that's because it begins with giving credit to the women folk that work at Nimasa. Enjoy.
One organization that can be said to be gender sensitive is Nimasa. The management cadre at Nimasa has an intimidating representation of qualified, efficient and thorough female professionals. A casual glance at the management organogram will reveal a good number of female directors, deputy directors and assistant directors, many of them heading sensitive departments and units at the agency. The Cabotage Services Department is also headed by Mrs. Oruwari Etete, just as the Marine Environment Management Department is headed by Mrs. Juliana Gunwa, while the all-important Public Relations Unit is headed by Haja Lami Tumaka. The Legal Department is currently headed by Mrs. Rita Urapa, the Acting Legal Advisor and Board Secretary. The coordinator of the Nigerian Seafarers Development Program is Mrs. Irene McFoy. It is therefore no surprise that the umbrella body for women in the shipping industry has a good number of members at Nimasa. WISTA, which stands for Women in Shipping and Transport Association, is an international organization with national chapters in many countries around the world. The Nigerian chapter is headed by Mrs. Jean Chiazo Anishere. On Thursday, the 4th of April, a delegation of the Nigerian chapter of WISTA paid a visit to Nimasa and were received by Haja Lami Tumaka on behalf of the Director General, Ziakede Patrick Akpobulokemi. Haja Lami Tumaka spoke of the high esteem the DG held women in shipping, as well as the support of the agency for the activities of WISTA. She then broke the good news of the DG's approval of the sponsorship of a delegation of WISTA members to the international body's annual convention to be held in Canada this year.
I heard we went for an event and she was saying hello, exchanging pleasantries with the DG, and I heard him say to her, "We've not seen you in a while, and of course we all know what that means. We've not seen any requests, WISTA requests from you. This is somebody who says to me, we will not do this, we will not do that." So deliberately when letters come from WISTA, I just sent to him. And surprise, he will say treats. As I speak with you now, he has already approved the WISTA women that are going to Canada this year.
Responding, the president of WISTA, Nigeria, Mrs. Jean Chiazo Anishiri, thanked the DG and agency for their continued support of WISTA. She also expressed appreciation for the agency's sponsorship of the association's quarterly publication.
Appreciate that he gets to see this and the journals. The journals, because at our investiture for this regime, our enabled Director General made a pledge that Nimasa will be responsible for our quarterly publications. And to show him that we have continued from that first publication, it's the first time we will have a journal for Western Nigeria. We're having newsletter. We've gone beyond newsletter. We now have journals. The very first journal was at our investiture, which the Chief Executive was very kind enough to, foot the bill of that journal. And then the second journal we had, and he also contributed to that bill. We're very grateful. We have the third journal. We would like him to have a look. We have generously given about 20 copies, and we would once again appeal to him to kindly help us with meeting the invoice that we attached to that journal.
Now, to crown our celebration of the women of Nimasa on our show this week, up next is a very special report on the conferment of a prestigious title on a woman who is very dear to the heart of Nimasa. She is the chairperson of the Senate Committee on Marine Transport with oversight functions for Nimasa, Senator Zainab Kure. She was recently honored by the Lapai Emirate Council in Niger State. Up next is that very colorful report.
The chairperson, Senate Committee on Marine Transport, Senator Zainab Kure, CON, has been turbaned Natsu Lapai. The high-profile traditional turbaning ceremony was held in Lapai, Niger State. His Royal Highness, Engineer Umar Bagota Fida III, CON, turbaned the distinguished Senator Kure Natsu Lapai in front of several guests, including the wife of the Vice President, Hajia Dr. Amina Namadi Sambo, Alhaji Amadou Muye, chairman of the occasion, distinguished senators, members of the House of Representatives, wife of the Chief Servant, Niger State, Hajia Jummai Babangida, members of the Lapai Emirate Council, Niger State Executive Council, Honorable Issa Baka, Chairman Lapai Local Government, members, friends and well-wishers. Extolling the virtues of Senator Kure, the special guest of honor, Hajia Dr. Amina Namadi Sambo, commended Natsu Lapai for her dogged contributions towards the development of Lapai and Niger State. Hajia Namadi Sambo urged women in public offices to emulate Senator Kure, whose contributions at the Senate has not gone unnoticed.
As the wife of the governor of Niger State, she founded the Youth Empowerment Scheme, Project Yes, an NGO through which she was able to impact positively on the life of women and youth in Niger. Her appearance in the political scene further brought out the inherited qualities of her service. As the senator representing the people of Niger South Senatorial District in the National Assembly, she exhibited an unparalleled commitment, competence, and composure. Her outstanding performance earned her a re-election in 2011.
As women, we are making impact in all areas of life. Yes. We can now boast of women president, yes, women commissioner, yes, women senator, yes, with even women president. Yes.
In her acceptance speech, Senator Zainab Kure thanked the Lapai Emirate Council and the entire Lapai community for honoring her.
There are so many people here, men, women, youth, who have found time to come and rejoice with us. I want to thank you, and may Almighty Allah gladden your hearts too. Today, we are celebrating love, we are celebrating care, and we are celebrating the future as far as responsibilities are concerned. I pray to give me another opportunity to thank the Emir of Lapai for giving me this at this crucial period of my life. And to Lapai Emirates, I want to say that today is going to serve as the beginning of service to humanity as far as I'm concerned. Before I sit down, permit me to thank the man who has made it possible for me to stand here. If he hasn't gone to that remote area of Deep Energy to bring me, I will not get this title today being bestowed on me.
She noted that her surgeon to Lapai commenced 33 years ago when she married engineer Abdulkader Kure, the former governor of Niger State. She expressed sincere gratitude to friends and well-wishers who have continued to encourage her in her political career. Senator Kure pledged to uphold the legacies associated with the Lapai Emirate and promised to provide the mother figure expected of her as the Natsu Lapai.
That is our show for this week, and as always, we hope we kept you informed and educated. Now, please don't forget, Nimasa This Week is an interactive show. Please send your comments, questions, or even criticisms to the email address currently showing on your screen. Now, I'm going to be here same time, same station next week. Until then, I'm wishing you smooth sailing and bon voyage.